When people ask me what I enjoy doing in my spare time, my answer often catches them off guard. I tell them I'm a photographer, not professionally, but with every ounce of passion that a professional might carry. It's not just snapping pictures with a phone or clicking randomly with a camera. For me, photography is how I see, interpret, and connect with the world. It's more than a hobby, it's a part of who I am. I wasn't always like this. Growing up, I never thought much about photography. My parents had an old film camera, and we would take family photos during vacations or special events, but that was about it. My younger self never realized the power of freezing a moment, capturing a fleeting second, and holding it in your hands forever. That epiphany didn't hit me until my first year of university, when I stumbled into the hobby almost by accident. It started with a borrowed camera, a bulky DSLR that belonged to my roommate. He was going home for the weekend and told me I could use it if I wanted. I had no idea how to work it, but I was intrigued. I spent that Saturday wandering around my neighborhood, snapping pictures of anything that caught my eye: a street lamp casting long shadows, a bird perched on a wire, a child blowing soap bubbles in the park. When I uploaded the photos to my laptop later, something clicked, pun intended. Those pictures weren't perfect, but they captured something raw and real, something I hadn't noticed before. It was as if the camera had given me new eyes. From that day on, photography became my escape, my comfort, and my creative outlet. Over time, I saved up to buy my own camera, a second-hand model that I still use today. The first thing I did was teach myself the basics of photography: aperture, shutter speed, ISO, and composition. I spent countless hours watching tutorials, reading blogs, and experimenting with settings. It was overwhelming at first, but the thrill of learning something new kept me going. Photography quickly became part of my daily life. Every morning, after finishing my cup of coffee, I'd step outside with my camera slung over my shoulder. The world felt different when I looked through the lens. Ordinary scenes, the sun rising over rooftops, dew clinging to blades of grass, steam rising from a vendor's cart, became extraordinary. My favorite times to shoot were early mornings and late afternoons, when the light was soft and golden, casting a magical glow over everything it touched. I think what fascinates me most about photography is how it teaches you to slow down and observe. In a world that's constantly rushing, the camera forces you to pause. It makes you notice the subtle textures of a brick wall, the way shadows dance on pavement, or the fleeting expressions on a stranger's face. I remember once spending nearly an hour watching pigeons at the park, trying to capture the exact moment one took flight. I must have looked ridiculous, crouching there with my camera pointed at a flock of birds, but I didn't care. In those moments, I felt connected to something bigger than myself: a rhythm, a pulse, a beauty that exists in everyday life if you take the time to see it. Street photography quickly became my favorite genre. There's something exhilarating about capturing candid moments, about telling stories through images. I would roam the city, often with no specific destination in mind, letting my curiosity guide me. One of my favorite shots is of an elderly couple holding hands as they crossed the street, their shadows stretching long behind them. Another is of a little girl standing in front of a colorful mural, her bright red balloon stark against the painted wall. Each photo feels like a slice of life, a small story frozen in time. But photography isn't just about the moments I capture, it's also about how it makes me feel. There's a certain calm that washes over me when I'm out shooting. It's like meditation, but instead of sitting still, I'm moving, searching, discovering. It's a way to be present, to quiet the noise in my head and focus entirely on the here and now. And when life gets stressful, when exams pile up or deadlines loom, photography becomes my refuge. Just an hour with my camera is enough to clear my mind and recharge my spirit. One of the most memorable experiences I've had as a photographer was during a trip to a nearby village. I went alone, eager to escape the city for a day and immerse myself in a different environment. The village was small and serene, with narrow dirt paths winding between rice fields and wooden houses. The people there were warm and welcoming, curious about my camera but not self-conscious in front of it. I spent the day documenting their daily lives: a farmer tending to his crops, a group of children playing near a stream, an old woman weaving baskets by her doorstep. Every frame felt like a window into their world, and I was grateful to be there, witnessing it. Of course, not every photo I take turns out great. For every image I'm proud of, there are dozens, maybe hundreds, that end up in the digital trash. But that's part of the process. Photography has taught me to embrace failure, to see it as a stepping stone rather than a setback. Every missed shot is a lesson, every blurry image an opportunity to improve. It's a constant cycle of trial and error, but that's what makes it so rewarding. The satisfaction of finally nailing a shot after countless attempts is unmatched. Sharing my work has also been a fulfilling aspect of this hobby. At first, I was hesitant to put my photos out there, afraid of criticism or rejection. But eventually, I created an Instagram account dedicated to my photography, and to my surprise, people responded positively. It wasn't about the number of likes or followers, it was about connecting with others who appreciated the same beauty I saw. Some even reached out to ask for tips or collaborate on projects, which pushed me to grow even more. Looking back, I realize how much photography has shaped who I am. It's taught me patience, resilience, and the value of paying attention to the world around me. It's given me a sense of purpose, a way to express myself when words fall short. And most importantly, it's brought me joy, a simple, unfiltered joy that comes from doing something I love. People often ask me if I'll ever turn photography into a career. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. For now, I'm content with it being my hobby, my passion, my escape. It doesn't have to be anything more than that. All I know is that as long as I have a camera in my hands, I'll never run out of things to discover, stories to tell, or moments to cherish. So, the next time someone asks me what I do in my spare time, I'll tell them the same thing I always do: I'm a photographer. Not because it's a label I need, but because it's the truest way I can describe the way I see the world.